Hi everybody, I hope that you are doing well today. This video is going to be about feeling guilt after your narcissist has died. Um, my mother, if you don't know by now, was a terribly abusive, narcissistic monster in my life. I cut contact with her about 18 years ago, of which 9, almost 10 of those years has been because she's dead. So, when my mom died, I felt a tremendous sense of relief and happiness and freedom because I knew that she could no longer hurt me. I felt finally I was going to find peace. I was going to heal. I was going to be happy, and all of the damage that she had done to me would be able to go away because I wasn't going to have to keep like reliving it or keep having it come up or having her try to pop up into my life and try to derail how my life was going or anything like that. Boy, was I surprised when I actually felt tremendous guilt come and take the place of the freedom and the relief that I had felt because she died. I felt guilty because I was happy that my mother, my abuser, was dead. I felt guilt because I hadn't talked to her for, I don't know how many years. I can't remember exactly how many years it was before she died, but that I had cut contact. And I hadn't said a single word to her. I think it was like around 19, nope, sorry. It was about 13 years, 13 or 14 years. I hadn't talked to her, I think, before she died. I'm probably wrong on that. I don't, it's not important how long it was. But the fact is I had stopped talking to her for so many years that I literally felt guilty that after she died that I never got to say anything else to her. But it's not because I hadn't tried. Boy, did I try. I tried for years and years and years and years to build a bridge to her. But she kept setting that bridge on fire. She kept burning that bridge down. So every time I built a bridge to try to meet her halfway, she'd set some dynamite in the middle of it and blow it up. So eventually I stopped building that bridge and I ended all communication with her. Now, was I expecting to feel guilt when she died? No. Was I expecting to feel guilt because I stopped talking to her? No. I mean, at first I was terrified, absolutely terrified to end contact with this woman because I believed to my core that this woman was going to take my life one day. I believed from the time I was probably 5 years old that when I died, it was going to be because of my mom. So when I went no contact with her, when I told her off and to get out of my life, which I'll cover eventually in my story, I was terrified, literally terrified. I was constantly looking over my shoulder. Every noise made me jump. Every person that I thought kind of looked like her, I'd freak out. Any truck that went by that looked like hers, I'd freak out. And this went on for about a year or so. And then finally, one day, I just was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live like this. I mean, if she's going to show up, I'll do my best to avoid her. I'll call the police. I'll put a restraining order on her. I'll do what I have to do. But I don't want to live like this anymore. You know, I ended contact with her to be free. So why am I still living like she's in my life? So I changed the outlook of how I was living my life while she was still alive. And that's not to say that she made it easy. because she would send me letters all the time and checks knowing that we needed the money that I would rip up and throw away and never cash, which, oh my gosh, was that just horrible, because I would get a $500 check and be like, oh, I need that so badly. But I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction to know that she helped me in any way, shape, or form. So I ripped that check up and threw it away. All these checks, she sent hundreds of checks. But it's because she wanted proof that I was still willing to have her in my life, even if it meant that she was sending money, because she knew she had some control over me. So I think it really pissed her off when I wasn't even cashing the checks that she knew that we desperately needed. And then after the check thing failed, she lives 8 hours away, or lived 8 hours away from me. Well, after I wasn't cashing her checks and I wasn't returning her letters, because every time a letter would come, I'd either have my husband read it and tell me if there was anything I needed to know, or we would just throw it away. Like the very last letter she sent me, we threw it away. I have no idea what it says in it. I don't know if she ever apologized to me. I don't know anything. I don't know anything that was in that letter, because I didn't want it. I didn't care, because she had sent me so many horribly abusive letters for so long that I didn't want to read any more crap. So I just threw it away. And I'll never know if she actually apologized to me or not. She probably didn't, because nothing was ever her fault. She was the best mother ever. Like nothing, like she blamed me for having the mental illness, for not seeing that she was the good mother. And I was the horrible, ungrateful, mentally ill daughter. But anyway, so she went from sending the checks to then showing up at my house. So yeah, she would drive 8 hours just to come and pound on my door, which we never answered, because she had a distinguishable knock, and I don't think she knew it, but whenever we got this specific knock, we knew it was her. And not to mention, we don't really get a whole lot of people to our house, just because with my anxiety and whatnot, my house is my safe space, so I have a few people that I trust enough to let into my safe zone, but definitely not everybody that I know. So, yeah, so she would just knock and knock and knock and knock, and she would literally park out front of my house, and she would be there all day. And periodically she would knock on the door, she would try to look in the windows, she would knock on the windows, she'd yell through the windows, "I'm here, let me in, I didn't just drive 8 hours for nothing." To which we were just like, "Yes, you did, we're not gonna talk to you." Like, we didn't say that to her, but we were just thinking it, you know. And it was really pathetic that we had to creep around our own freaking house just to she knew we were home, but we tried everything we could to avoid it, because if she knew for sure that we were home, I don't know what she would have done, but she probably would have stepped up her game. She went as so far as to, there's a library just down the street from us, and she literally, because she knew that we would have to drive by that library to leave where we live, so she literally parked in that library facing the street and camped out there for 3 days one time. She was so determined to talk to me, or to whatever the hell it was that she had this need to get to me. And I guess she just happened to be in the library at the time that we drove by. We didn't know she was at the library. We had no idea. Was because once she left that final day of knocking, we thought she gave up and went home. So we went back to our normal lives, and we were heading out to run an errand, and we literally saw her truck parked in the parking lot of the library. And I was like, oh crap, she knows now, and she's going to be following us. But the truck never moved. It stayed where it was. And So we just went into town and we did our errands, and of course, I was looking over my shoulder every couple seconds, and whatnot. And then we waited until it was dark, which it wasn't a very long time. But we waited until it was dark enough that she couldn't recognize our car in the dark going home. And then we drove by, and she was still sitting she was at that point sitting in her truck. We could see the outline lit up by the dash lights of her sitting in her truck, but apparently she didn't see our car go by because she never followed, she never came in, and she never tried to knock again. So I honestly don't know how long she was there, but I'm saying 3 days because I'm thinking it wasn't like we didn't go out the day of her being here. I don't think we went out the next day, but I think it was the third day we had to run into town and she was still at the library. Now, I don't know if she stayed a fourth day or a fifth day or anything like that, because after the third day, when we came back, we had everything that we needed, so we didn't need to go back out. And then when we did go back out, she was gone and she didn't come back to the house. So, and I think that was the last time that she came here. Of course, she did drop a big box of my baby pictures and other memorabilia on my steps, which ended up breaking all the picture frames and shattering glass everywhere. And so I had to get my baby pictures and whatnot out of all these shards of broken glass and whatnot. And I think in her way, she thought if my excuse was to bring her keepsakes and these baby pictures and mementos from her childhood, well, of course she'll let me in, and then I've got my way in to talk to her, yada 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 yada. But I wouldn't let her in. I didn't know she had that box with her, and even if I did know, I still wouldn't have let her in. So it still would have ended up the same. She still would have just dropped it on the porch, or I think she probably dropped it and then probably stomped on it the way it looked. But anyway, that was the last time that she came to our house before she died. Um, and now for the guilt, yeah. I I have tremendous guilt that I didn't talk to her, that I didn't let her in that last time, or even open the door for her. Like, I wouldn't have let her in, but to even open the door and talk to her. I feel guilty that I never replied to any of her letters. I feel guilty that I, like, didn't call her on her birthday, didn't call her on Mother's Day, and not that she ever really was a mother, but I just feel guilty, being a daughter and not not honoring my mother, or you know what I'm saying? Like, this woman gave me life, and I feel like I crapped all over her. But in reality, she crapped all over me my whole life. Like, she never loved me. She never loved me. She hated me probably shortly after I was born, after I started getting all these compliments on how I was a beautiful baby, and people would literally stop her and my dad when had me in the stroller, or they were out running errands. They would stop them and they would give them money and say, that baby of yours is so adorable. Take this money and buy her something special, or put it in a college education. Or, I mean, like, they couldn't really go many places without people stopping and saying that is a beautiful child, and then giving them money or whatever. And I'm not boasting. I'm really not, because if you know me in person, I don't say nice things about myself. I don't have a self-esteem. I don't have a self-worth. I don't really even like myself. So for me to say that kind of stuff feels very weird to me, that I'm saying that I was such a beautiful baby, that blah, 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 but it's the truth. I'm not lying about that. I wish that I had somebody that could verify that, but I don't right now because my mother is dead and my grandmother is dead, and my father and I have a relationship, but he doesn't really remember much of my childhood for specific reasons that I'm not going to get into. But I think after my mom got tired of hearing all these beautiful comments about her daughter, she then decided that she needed to hate me. And there was a modeling agency that even contacted my parents and said that we really want her in some of our pictures to model some of our clothes. And she was like, no, nope, not happening. And it had nothing to do with protecting my privacy. It had nothing to do with me not becoming a Hollywood victim or whatever. Because that wasn't really, I mean, yes, it was a thing back then, but it also wasn't. So, anyway, that had nothing to do with it. It was simply because she couldn't handle that I was beautiful and she didn't like the attention that I was getting. And so the woman made me ugly my entire life in every way that she could. And my phone just told me that it's too hot to continue this video, so I'm going to end it before it deletes it. And basically, if you feel guilty about leaving your narcissist, don't, because they failed you. You didn't fail them. Have a beautiful, blessed day. I love you all.